We're excited here to have Terry and Patrick on with us, and we're going to be learning more about this trip to the Wudang Mountain in China, November 30th through December 12th, 2015. And it's really exciting to have this type of opportunity with like-minded individuals and leadership. Terry, I want to pass the ball over to you. Why don't you give us a quick summary and background and history of where this trip came from and the conception and the thought process, and of course a little bit about yourself in the process.
Thanks very much for having us on the show here today. It's always a pleasure to work with you. Done some conferences with you in the past, and we've had some really interesting discussions. So it's really a pleasure for you to ask us to be here. Yeah, for me, I've done a lot of traveling. I have a book out there called Memoirs of a Wandering Ninja, in which I place a lot of my journeys in there. And because I'm a martial artist, I sort of got the name Ninja. But I've traveled to many different countries, and a lot of the time when I first started doing it, I did it by myself, and I just went and did sabbaticals. I trained in different temples, different ashrams, different schools of thought. And then I got the idea where I said, why not take people over there, because I'm getting so much out of this. Why not take groups over there and have them experience it for themselves? Because it's different. When I came back and people were saying, well, what happened? Well, and you try to explain it to people, but it's not the same experience.
Right.
They're getting the intellectual experience instead of the first-hand experiential experience. So I thought, for the last few years, I've been putting groups together to go to places like where we're going this year, to the Wudang Mountains in China. A couple of years ago, it was to the Himalayas in India, and this is an area that I'll be doing, more regularly as we go along. So that's kind of how it started in relation to the organization of these trips.
And why this location? Is there anything unique and special that made this location the selection for this year's trip?
Absolutely. Wudang Mountain is very, very special. As a matter of fact, out of all the Taoist locations in China, and there's quite a few, this is sort of the most revered or the largest location in regards to the teachings of Taoism. On the mountain itself, there are over 2,000 different temples and palaces and different ancient structures that are actually at the very top of the mountain. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site for the way that it's situated, and it's been in movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and The Karate Kid. Yeah, The Karate Kid with Jackie Chan, the most recent one, where they go up to the top of the mountain and they do some training and see the monks training up there. So it's quite well known, yet it's off the beaten path. It's not really a top tourist destination, because it takes a little bit to get to, and that's kind of what I liked about this location, is that we're going to kind of have the mountain to ourselves when we go there. It's a little off-season. It's perfect in regards to doing the studies and the training and the meditation that we want to do there in this very sacred Taoist location.
Wonderful. And tell me, what is a rough summary of the agenda? And we're going to share the website so people can learn more in detail. But is there going to be structured classes, structured lessons and events, as well as personal time? Is it solely a individual vision quest alone, but you're with a small group? Tell us a little bit about the agenda.
Great question. Great question, Jake. Yeah, thanks for asking that. It's actually a little bit of all of those components that you just mentioned. There is some structure, but there's free time as well. Because when you go on a retreat, it's not like a seminar. You don't want to be sitting there taking notes all day long, trying to digest all this information. The idea of a retreat is to be able to go, get an experience, and then assimilate it. And that takes a little bit of time. So yeah, there will be some structure in regards to activities that we have planned, but there'll be free time as well, so that people can contemplate the experiences, the trainings, the things that they've had privy to on the trip, as they go along and digest it at a good pace. But we have a schedule where we're going to be visiting not only Wudang Mountain, but we're also going to take people to the Great Wall of China, because I think it's pretty spectacular when you realize it's like
Mm-hmm.
13,200 miles long or 26,000 kilometers long.
Right.
It's amazing when you look at how big this thing is. So you can really revere this and say, wow, what a magnificent achievement.
Yeah.
The Forbidden City, which was the home to 24 emperors of China, and the architecture is very similar to Wudang. These things are in Beijing. But the architecture is very similar to Wudang on the mountain because one of the emperors was a Taoist, and so he wanted to create a lot of the same architecture between the imperial palace, which really is what the Forbidden City is, and Wudang Mountain. And when we get to Wudang, we're going to do a lot of different activities in relation to Qigong, also known as Qigong, Tai Chi, meditation, the Taoist tea ceremony. We're going to visit a lot of natural sites like the Tai Chi Lake, where monkeys run around and climb through the trees, and you have beautiful areas to meditate, contemplate, do different things. One of the highlights of the trip is we're actually logging in. We're actually going to reside for 3 full nights and days into the Wudang Kung Fu Internal Martial Arts Academy, where we're going to train with Wudang masters for 3 days solid. And that's going to absolutely be one of the highlights of the trip, to be able to have that experience with the masters there. Let me just go over some of the presenters that we have. Basically, we have a number of presenters on this trip. Not a huge number, but just a significant amount of number that I feel are people that are going to make a difference for the participants that come. Besides myself, we have Master Li, who we're going to train with in his Kung Fu Academy on Wudang Mountain, and he's been a master. He's the senior head master at the Kung Fu Academy for internal martial arts. So we're going to be training with him for 3 days, and that's just going to be a magnificent experience. We have also Paul Condino, Sifu, who has been a long time sort of colleague of mine in regards to the martial arts. We've known each other for many, many years, and happy to have him along. He is also a specialist in nutrition and also personal training and how to get the body into perfect sort of alignment with what's natural, what nature was intended for it to be healthy and to be have vitality. So he's going to go over components in regards to that on the trip. We have Sunny Lee, who is our magnificent coordinator and liaison for China. She's born in China. She speaks absolutely perfect Mandarin, and she is going to be able to guide us through all the loopholes and things that we need to do to get by on the language basis.
Wonderful.
And we're really happy to have her along. She's helped to really organize and bring this trip together for me, and I don't know that I could do this particular trip to Wudang without her, because there's a lot of things that need to be done, and having a good handle on the language really helps.
That's great to know.
Yeah.
There's going to be some guidance, because I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some of the teachers that we'll meet along the way are not going to speak perfect English, so she's going to be the translator in regards to getting messages back and forth between us English-speaking people and the masters who speak Chinese. That brings us to Dr. Patrick Porter. I know him as Patrick. He's a longtime friend of mine. We first met when I actually bought one of his self-help franchises, Positive Changes, which I actually still own today. And I connected with Dr. Porter right away. We've been on many different business conferences together. I'm a trainer for his organization, and absolutely love the guy. He is just all about what I believe in strongly, which is personal development and serving people. When you've got what you've learned throughout the years that you've studied, you have to give it back, and that's Patrick in a nutshell. He just never stops giving it back, and that's a wonderful thing. But once in a while, we do get to get out and play some billiards, so that's always fun too.
Yep, I've played with him too, and we won't talk about who won, and I'll just say I was on the short end of the stick there. Literally.
So I have to say I've learned a lot from him on that too over the years. So I'm thankful for that as well. But I'd like to introduce Patrick and just have him speak a little bit in regards to maybe some of the things that he has in vision for the trip, or his excitement for the trip. But Dr. Porter, I think most people know that he is a professor at Ikuyam University out of Hawaii, and he does a lot of teaching there through that organization, and of course all around the world. He just got back from Sweden teaching over there. So there's many different things that he does. I don't think there's hardly any time that he's home. He's always on the road doing different events and conferences and teachings. And so Patrick, why don't you take it over and just tell us a little about your vision and what you think about Wudang Mountain.
Okay, thank you, Terry and Jake. I know I love any time I spend with the two of you and getting out there and sharing knowledge. But if people are wondering why are we doing this in the end of November and the beginning of December, I'm going to tell you that Terry goes on these trips quite often, and I'm always left behind because I have so much business to do. And of course, you have to balance the business world with the things you do for yourself for self-satisfaction. So I told Terry, I said, hey, these are the dates I have. If you can put something together, I want to go for my own personal self. Now, a lot of people might be thinking, I'm from the school that you never know enough. In fact, I believe that if somebody thinks they know everything, they probably know nothing. That's what Socrates and I have in common, I think, is I think you're always learning and growing. And just like you, Jake, I got into martial arts actually for my son because he was kind of uncoordinated. Alex is 6'5" now. I adopted him, and he didn't have the coordination. So I asked somebody, what do I need to do for that? And so we joined Taekwondo. We became black belts. And Alex, from that day forward, ever since he learned how to do that, people thought he was maybe 5 to 10 years older than he was because of his size and stature and the way he carried himself. And I just kind of kept that martial arts kind of attitude. And when I met Terry and actually read his book, I encourage anyone out there that even if you don't get a chance to go on this trip, read that book, because next time you're going to want to go with Terry on these trips, because magic happens when people come together.
Yeah.
And we're going to be spending time helping people. And in my case, I think being a part of Quantum University, everything is vibration, light and sound, learning. And so when you go to these different places, they vibrate or they harmonize at a certain frequency. So when we're there, we might think we're learning something on a conscious level, but just like Bruce Lipton said, 98% of what we're learning happens at the subconscious level. So when we're there, what is our cells going to vibrate like when we're on that mountain? I know when I travel around the world, just being in Sweden for a moment, I was having dreams of being a Viking. In different things, because of course you're seeing Viking this, Viking that. Now, when I go to Wudang Mountain, I'm hoping that I can tap into the energy there. These are people that, you share things on a psychological, spiritual level here, but this culture has been doing it for thousands of years, 5,000 years. And so you get a chance to tap into that energy, and I want to be a part of that. And I'm a big believer in if you can go with somebody who already knows what they're doing and puts it together, I think this is going to be a fantastic journey. And I'm looking forward myself personally to learning and discovering. But also when called upon, we'll do some things, I'm sure, with getting people in tune with their environment, doing different things. I'm going to be open to the changing of what's ever necessary there and supporting the experience.
Great.
But I would say 75% of what I'm doing there is for me personally. I'm going there just like each one of you that will be going. I'm paying to be there. I'm going to be there because I want to be there with Terry and the group and learn about it. And as I said, also we have a certain frequency. If you feel chosen to go, which I think there is a calling kind of thing, there is because it is an adventure. I mean, when you start getting on a plane and traveling halfway around the world, you're going to be faced with some of the stuff on the way. So, and it's better to be with other people when you're facing those kind of things that happen. But I guarantee you, if you get there and you want to experience it, this is going to be one of those memories that you're going to talk about forever. Absolutely. You're going to meet people. The nice thing is that you're going to meet people on this trip that you can't just walk up and say, hey, I want to study with you at the Kung Fu Temple. You've got to plan these things and know where you're going. So I'm going to encourage everyone to get out there and do it. And I'm here to support Terry and the group and just be there as part of. I'm going to be there as a student mostly, but I'll be there also as a mentor for people if they need it.
You hit something really profound, and that is that getting yourself out of the comfort zone and also experiencing new environments that resonate at those unique frequencies. As we know, everything is energy. But you mentioned something about the martial arts background that we all share, and it's the mindset and the power of self-respect, self-control, self-accountability that it does. This reminds me also of like an adult outward bound trip where there's structure in it. So you're not just going off and being dropped in the middle like Survivor, yet you're going to have many unknowns and the freedom and flexibility to that really it's hard. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's hard to find that in our daily lives today. I would almost, let's say 99.9% back that statement that every listener now has, let's say, a longing for that serenity and that peaceful zone much more than they are creating because of daily's life and stress. And so this is a personal yet very profound way to also learn from other people's experiences. Because at the events that I met and have worked with you guys at, the gems are learned between the events, between the lectures, between the lines, and the bond you create with those people are, like you said, Patrick, for life.
Yeah, just wanted to say that you're totally right. You know, we live in a time, a day and age where everything is quite busy. I mean, we are, you know, just totally taken by responsibilities in regards to what we need to do, whether we work a job or we work a business or whatever it is we need to provide. But also technology has become so important to us as we're doing this webinar right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, technology, you know, you see people walking down the street glued to their phone. Yeah. You know, looking at the latest text that came in. You know, some people have called it the zombie apocalypse because people really aren't here anymore. You know, they're glued to the technology.
They're connected, but is that really connected? It's,
right.
It's a disconnect, really. Go ahead, Terry. But yeah.
And I think there's a place for that. But I think that the more we get absorbed into this technology, it does take away some other aspects of our true nature. And when we get to a place like Wudang, we are surrounded by the energy of nature. Technology is going to be at a minimum because of the different events that we're going to be doing. And what this is going to do is this is going to start to bring out the other aspects of our nature. And, you know, you can get a lot from reading books. You can get a lot from Googling things. You're going to get lots of knowledge. You're going to be able to rationally think about things. You're going to be able to use your logic to sort of critique them and figure out, you know, well, does that mean this? Does that mean that? But the nice thing about the essence of Taoism is that it actually goes beyond knowledge, and the experiences that are meant for you to have when you're there are actually on an intuitive level, so that they're very profound experiences, not just based in knowledge and not just based in what you read or what you've heard or what you've seen, but getting in touch with almost that sixth sense rather than, you know, our other senses. And I just like to call it intuition. But having those deeper experiences, and nature has a way to do that. It has a way to connect you to that intuition. And this is sort of one of the premises of Taoism, is that connect back to nature, connect back to the nature within inside of yourself, and bring out that inner wisdom, bring out that inner intuition, where you really get those aha moments, and you go, wow, that, you know, that's absolutely amazing. You just shake your head. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about because we've all had them.
Absolutely.
But this trip's going to provide a platform so that those experiences are more available for the participants that come.
Well, this is exciting, Terry and Patrick, and I am honored to be able to help share it and spread the word so people can take advantage. How can people learn more about the trip in detail, and how can they take action today? How can they register and go and, you know, get signed up and participate?
Thanks for asking me that, Jake. They can actually go to the website, which is, it's spelled Tao, T-A-O, but it's pronounced Tao, as we've already mentioned. So it's www.taojourneys, journeys.com, and they can read all about the trip right from there. So they can see all the details, and then if they sign up, there's a place on there where they can sign up for the newsletter. And I send out a newsletter which gives you updated, you know, sort of information regarding trips or what's happening or what you need to bring or stuff like that. And if they sign up for that, they also will get one of my personal auditory meditations that I've created, that is in line with a lot of the Taoist teachings, and it's called Sunrise Energize. So it's meant to put energy into your day. So when you listen to it, it helps to get you going and get you, in touch with that intuitive nature and that internal energy that comes from nature. It's all, it's abundant in nature. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the ways that they can really hone in on the trip. And then Excellent. If they go to registration, if they just want to register right away, they can go to the registration tab and hit registration and register in, and then I will send them an email, and we'll work through the details.
Excellent. And Patrick, what are you looking forward to during the trip? I mean, what is there one event that stands out in terms of the Great Wall of China or the Buddhist temple or anything in particular?
Well, I've always found sacred sites around the world that you kind of get a recharge. I can't really explain it to people who haven't done it, but once you're there, you're changed. You see the beauty, and you look at this and you say, wow, this has been around how long? Yeah. And you're kind of standing there in awe. And I mean, when you go there, for me, it's going to be a retreat, rejuvenation time. And I think that I'm looking forward to the whole thing. And nicely, for me, letting other people take care of all the details. That's the beauty of it all. All I have to do is follow the instruction, and I don't have to worry about planning it. I mean, we're in the middle of planning a big seminar for our group, and It's much nicer to let somebody else handle all those logistics. So, that's the beauty of these kind of trips, I think, is, and you're getting a great deal. I mean, if you go out and look at what this would cost you to do on your own and stumble around Beijing, just trying to figure out where you're going. I mean, this is if you've ever even fantasized about getting to China, this is going to be one of those trips that I've been looking for. And of course, I had a lot to do with prompting him to do it during this time period, but I know very little about the area, but I'm very excited about going there and learning, because I've read Terry's book, and he's talked about some of these areas in his book and some of the experiences he's had. And, anybody goes there, for me, I'm just looking forward to having those breakthroughs, those little breakthroughs along the way that'll make the trip very memorable.
Terry, I want to just personally thank you for this action, and this journey is actually a practice of some of your belief systems, and you're acting on it. And I just want to commend you, because it's a great example of how many people, they learn life lessons. And I believe everybody has to serve and finds a way to serve somehow. And what a beautiful way to do it, inviting people to experience some of those journeys you have. Pretty cool, man. And I'm excited to be a part of it in the small way I can be. Any closing thoughts, Terry, that you'd like to share with people before we get them the information they need?
Just, a lot of people will look at the price, which is an extremely reasonable price to do this, and I'm in communication with other leaders who do these types of trips, and they tell me that I'm undercharging. But, I'm doing it for a reason, because I'm not trying to get rich off of these trips. It's, what I'm trying to do is give people an experience, give them a sense of community to explore a lot of different aspects of what I like to, offer, and say, hey, try this on and see what this does for you. So for me, and Patrick can back me up on this, it's not always been about the money for me. It's been about providing substantial experiences that I think help to shift, the way, the consciousness that exists for people on this earth, and help people to make better lives. So I've been involved in martial arts since the age of 12. I've been fortunate that way. And it's been a way of life for me, and I just really want to give back and give other people opportunities to explore and experience things that I've been fortunate enough to be able to have in my life. So